Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to, cut through the noise and really get to the heart of things. And today, we're tackling a big one.
Discipline.
Yeah, discipline.
But look, we are absolutely not talking about the usual self-help tips, the feel-good quotes you see everywhere. No.
Not at all.
We want to understand discipline through, well, the brutally honest eyes of Niccolò Machiavelli.
Ah, Machiavelli. Now, that's an interesting take.
Right. Our main source here is a really powerful YouTube video from Euphoria. It just strips away all the comforting stuff. And what it reveals, I think, is this central, maybe even unsettling truth.
Look,
that discipline isn't just about willpower, or finding motivate. It's basically an internal war.
An internal war.
Yeah. So our mission today is to pull out Machiavelli's strategic thinking on this and apply it straight to the world of professional trading psychology.
Which is a high-stakes world indeed.
Exactly. So if you're a trader, or honestly, anyone in a high-pressure situation where you need self-control, this should really hit home. And Machiavelli is, maybe surprisingly, perfect for this, particularly for traders.
Why do you say that?
Well, the source talks about his view of human nature having a surgical coldness.
Surgical coldness. I like that.
Yeah, it means he just cuts away the sentimentality, the wishful thinking. He looks at what is, the harsh realities of power, of self-preservation. He wasn't interested in making people feel good. He knew the world, and the markets were like this too. Rewards the disciplined, not just the well-intentioned.
Good intentions don't pay the bills in trading.
Exactly. His whole focus was survival, maintaining control, even, and this is key, under pressure, even surrounded by disorder.
That sounds exactly like a trading floor, or just watching the charts sometimes.
Precisely. That ability to stay steady, to execute when everything's chaotic, that's what defines successful traders.
Okay, so let's dig into what the source calls this initial deception about discipline. Most of us think it's about, trying harder, or like waking up early and making lists,
Yeah, the superficial stuff, like a to-do list, will magically fix everything.
Right. But Machiavelli's reality, as the video puts it, is just starkly different, almost painful, he says flat out. Discipline is war, internal war. And in this war, either you govern your mind like a prince governs his army, or you will be crushed by your own weaknesses.
Wow. That's a completely different way of looking at it. No comfort there.
None at all. It just strips away any idea that this is supposed to be easy.
And you can see that internal war playing out constantly in trading. It's so direct.
How so?
Well, think about traders, psychologically speaking. Many live like Machiavelli might describe decaying cities invaded by impulses, sabotaged by their own disorder.
Decaying cities, that's vivid.
It is, isn't it? They become easy targets for market temptations. We all see it, or maybe do it, chasing a big green candle.
Oh yeah, FOMO hits hard.
Or panic selling on a sudden dip, over leveraging because of a gut feeling.
Been there.
And the video highlights Machiavelli's warning here. Without strategic discipline, there is no freedom, no strength, no victory. If you don't impose that order inside, you're constantly enslaved by chaos. You can't stick to your plan. You're just reacting.
At the mercy of the market and your own fear.
Exactly.
And he takes it even further, doesn't he? Saying discipline isn't some nice-to-have moral choice or a beautiful ideal.
No, it's much more fundamental.
It's purely a matter of survival.
Yeah.
Without it, the king, the peasant, they face ruin.
Or in our context,
The profitable trader and the one constantly blowing up accounts. Same outcome, ruin. And maybe the cruelest part, the bit that really stings from the source,
Go on.
the moment you fail to govern yourself, you hand over the keys to your own destiny, to someone else, to another force, to any impulse that blows stronger than your weak will.
Oof. That's blunt.
It is. It's this stark reminder, if you don't control yourself, something else will. The market, your emotions, bad habits, they just take over.
And that applies so perfectly to a trader's decisions. Acting without calculation, moving without preparation, reacting without reflection.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster in trading.
Machiavelli would say they're sure paths to downfall. Absolutely. So discipline in this view becomes like permanent armor.
Armor. I like that metaphor.
It's what keeps a trader steady when they're tempted to act out of anger after a loss, or fear during volatility, or even vanity, like wanting to prove the market wrong.
Yeah, ego trading.
Right. Discipline lets you maintain strategy even when everything around cries out for impulsive decisions. An undisciplined prince or trader is genuinely more dangerous to himself than any external enemy. The real threat isn't the market swing, it's the inability to manage the internal response to it.
Okay, that really clicks. And this leads to another powerful metaphor he uses, the human spirit as a battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you, listening right now, to really think about this. How many times have you failed? Not because you weren't smart enough or didn't know the market, but purely due to a lack of control.
It's a confronting question.
It is. How many promises to yourself have you broken? Like, I will stick to my stop loss this time, or I won't revenge trade, only to let fatigue, fear, or doubt take command.
Yeah. Framing it as an actual battle inside you really changes the perspective.
Doesn't it?
It really does. And we can push that military analogy even further. Machiavelli suggests, if your mind is like an undisciplined army, no conscious command of yours will have effect.
So your orders just get ignored by the troops within.
Pretty much. Traders might wake up, make resolutions, set goals, commit to a strategy, but if their thoughts, their emotions, their impulses aren't trained to obey,
They just desert.
they desert at the first sign of trouble. You find yourself doing the exact opposite of what you planned. Hitting buy when your analysis screams sell, or refusing to cut a loss when you know you should.
Self-sabotage.
Classic self-sabotage. So this kind of military discipline for trading means you wake up determined, regardless of how you feel. You obey your strategy over those fleeting emotions. You act even when you're tired or stressed or frustrated after a losing streak. Victory, whether on the battlefield or in the market, belongs to those who follow their own commands, even when it's hard.
Okay, that's powerful. Let's shift gears slightly to his ideas of fortuna and virtue.
Right, luck and, well, internal power.
So fortuna, that's luck, fate. Described as a blind, relentless force, like a flood that sweeps away the unprepared.
Yeah, the random element.
For traders, that's market volatility, right? Unexpected news, black swan events, just a bad run of luck.
Things you can't control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the source puts it bluntly. If you are not strong enough to govern your life, chance will govern for you.
Which means if you don't control your response to the market's randomness,
The randomness controls you. You can't control the flood, but you can control whether you build a dike.
and that's where virtue comes in. But it's really important to get this right. It's not moral virtue.
Not about being a good person in the usual sense.
No, it's internal power. It's the ability to adapt, to act with strength, intelligence, and resilience when things get tough.
Okay, so virtue for a trader is...
It's discipline in action. It's the power to stand firm when everything crumbles, to find opportunities when others just see despair, and crucially, to resist the childish impulse to blame luck for your own failures.
taking responsibility.
Absolutely. Great traders, like Machiavelli's great leaders, don't just wait for good luck. They challenge it, they bend it, they build their own dikes before the flood.
So they cultivate the discipline before the crisis hits.
Exactly. So they have the strength when it's needed instead of getting washed away. It's proactive, not reactive.
Okay, this makes sense. So given all this raw, almost brutal view of discipline, what about how we usually think about it today? The source calls it the great modern illusion about discipline.
Yeah, the way it's been watered down.
Hijacked even, turned into a shelf product, something you buy, an app, a planner, a motivational quote.
Fluff.
Total fluff, right.
Yeah.
Machiavelli would look at that and just see a grotesque farce. He wasn't writing self-help, he was writing war manuals for the mind.
He absolutely would. The source really hammers this. True discipline is not comfortable. It is not easy. It is not something you install in your life like software.
It's not plug and play.
No. Discipline is pain. It is a declared war against everything weak, lazy, and cowardly within you.
Wow. Okay, translate that for traders.
It means embracing the discomfort of strict risk management, even when it feels restrictive. Sticking to your trading plan rigidly, even when fear is screaming at you or greed is whispering temptations, not waiting to feel ready or for the perfect moment.
Acting despite the internal noise.
Yes. Modern discipline often feels emotional. It depends on your mood. Machiavellian discipline is structural. It ignores feelings. It imposes itself through routines, commitments. It's a fortress, not a feeling.
A mental fortress built on structure, not shifting sands of emotion.
Well put. You build a framework your mind has to operate within, no matter the noise.
Okay, so if it's this internal war, this structural thing, how do we actually build it? How do we fight this war effectively, especially under market pressure?
Right, the how-to. Machiavelli, via the source, gives us 3 core principles for forging this unbreakable discipline.
Principle 1.
Constant vigilance. This means daily self-observation. Watching your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, like a general inspecting his troops every single day, looking for weaknesses.
So for traders, that's not just tracking trades, but
Tracking your emotional responses to trades. Before, during, after. How did you feel? Why did you deviate from the plan, if you did? Identifying those patterns of self-sabotage.
like moving your stop loss again. Or doubling down on a loser.
Exactly. And immediately correcting those gaps. The laziness, an innocent excuse, a silly distraction that let you break your rules.
Treating your mind like a castle. Every slip up is a stone removed from the wall, weakening your defense.
Precisely. It's not a one-off thing. It's constant daily self-awareness. Knowing your own weaknesses.
Got it. Vigilance was principle 2.
Clear strategy routines that eliminate the need for decision. This is huge. Because as the source says, your brain, if given the option, will always choose the path of least resistance.
It's lazy by default.
Basically, yes. Decisions drain willpower and open the door for emotions. So for traders, you need rigid, non-negotiable routines.
Or everything.
For everything crucial. Pre-market analysis checklist, exact entry criteria, exact exit criteria, fixed position sizing rules, a structured post-market review. Make it automatic.
Like the example, if you wait to decide whether to train after a tiring day,
Yeah.
guess what? You won't train.
Exactly. Make your core trading activities non-negotiable commitments, part of who you are. Remove the internal debate.
So when the market's going crazy, you're not deciding, you're just executing the pre-agreed plan.
That's the goal. The structure carries you through the emotional storm.
Okay, vigilance, routines. What's the third principle? This sounds like the toughest one.
It probably is for many. Relentless reinforcement, creating real consequences for failures.
Consequences.
Like what? Well, in trading, a mistake can kill your account, right? That's a pretty real consequence. But sometimes we rationalize or ignore smaller breaches of discipline.
Sure.
So the source suggests making the price for failure immediate, tangible, painful.
Painful. How?
It gives some pretty intense examples, like donating money to a cause you hate if you break a rule,
Ouch.
or telling your friends or accountability partners that you failed, carrying the actual weight of shame and loss from your undisciplined action.
This isn't about beating yourself up, is it?
No, it's not self-flagellation. It's about training the mind, making the cost of breaking discipline so high that your brain learns to obey because it's the right path, the path to survival, not because it feels good.
You're creating a psychological aversion to screwing up.
Exactly. Stronger than the impulse to deviate. Put chains on yourself now so the market doesn't shackle you later.
Vigilance, routines, reinforcement. Okay, about a lot to take in. Very different from just be positive.
Very different.
So as we kind of wrap this up, what's the bottom line here? Machiavelli's message, distilled through the source.
It's that knowledge without action is, well, it's cowardice.
Harsh.
But probably true. Many people, maybe even you listening, will hear this. They'll get it, understand the truth in it, and then
go back to the old ways.
go back to lives of excuses, procrastination, and self-sabotage, being ruled by impulses, blaming luck.
So the challenge is direct.
Undeniably direct. You will be the prince or you will be the prisoner. There is no middle ground. There never was.
Prince of your own mind or prisoner to its whims.
Exactly. And the time to start building that discipline is now, not later, not for pleasure or approval or looks.
What? Why?
Because your life depends on it, because your freedom depends on it, because your greatness demands it.
And for a trader, that freedom is
The freedom to execute consistently, to manage risk properly, to actually control your financial outcomes instead of being a victim of the market or your own psychology, taking command of that internal battlefield.
So the final thought for everyone listening.
Yeah.
What does this mean for you right now?
Yeah. How will you apply this, these ideas of internal war, strategic discipline? How will you apply them to your trading battles?
To make sure you're the general, not the prisoner.
Right. And maybe more concretely, what is one dike? Just one specific routine, one consequence you will commit to building starting today.
Against that flood of market impulse or your own specific weakness.
The battle starts now, inside you.